I died alone in a cardboard box under the Brooklyn Bridge. The winter wind slicing through my threadbare coat like 1,000 accusations. My last breath a ragged whisper of Elena's name, my daughter. The one I'd built an empire for. But death wasn't the end. It was a cruel rewind, slamming me back into my 55-year-old body on a crisp September morning in 2008. Heart pounding as I stared at my reflection in the gilded mirror of my Fifth Avenue penthouse bathroom. The lines of age not yet carved into my skin. The betrayal not yet etched into my soul. Mia, I gasped to the ghost of my future self. Fingers trembling as they touched the smooth jawline that would one day sag under the weight of her lies. This time, you don't get to bury me alive. The shower steam fogged the glass. But nothing could blur the flood of memories crashing over me like the East River's filthy tide. I'd clawed my way up from a Hell's Kitchen tenement in the 70s. Single mom with a toddler strapped to my back, while I hustled real estate deals in smoke-filled boardrooms where men laughed at my ambitions like they were punchlines. By 40, I'd flipped my first brownstone into a fortune. By 50, I'd owned half the skyline. Elena was my miracle, born when I was 25, raised on my grit and green juice smoothies, sent to the best schools, Spence, then Yale, because I swore she'd never know the hunger I did. I poured everything into her, the trust fund, the summers in the Hamptons, the whispered dreams of her taking the reins of Harrington Properties one day. But in that future I'd just escaped, she twisted it all. At 80, frail but fierce, I'd signed over power of attorney during a flu haze, trusting her like always. She sold the penthouse, our penthouse, for $150 million to bail out her husband, Derek Voss, a Wall Street shark who'd gambled their life away on crypto scams and insider trades. Mom, it's for the family, she'd cooed, her Botox smile not reaching eyes that mirrored my own but colder, sharper. The money vanished into his offshore accounts, and when the feds came knocking, she pinned it on me: fraudulent transfers, elder abuse claims flipped like a bad hand of poker. I ended up evicted, penniless, homeless Mia, as the tabloids dubbed me, a cautionary tale for the 1%ers. She visited once in the shelter, diamond earrings glinting under fluorescent lights, and sneered, "You always said survival of the fittest."
Mom.
Looks like I won.
Now.
Here I was, reborn in 2008, the market teetering on the brink of collapse. Obama posters plastered on every corner newsstand. My body hummed with unnatural energy. Muscles toned from Pilates I hadn't skipped in years. No arthritis gnawing at my knuckles. I gripped the marble sink, knuckles whitening. This wasn't some divine mulligan, it was a loaded gun, and I aimed to fire. Elena was 30, fresh off her MBA from Wharton, interning at my firm, all wide-eyed ambition and designer power suits. Derek hadn't slithered into her life yet. He was just a name on a gala invite list. A hedge fund hotshot with a smile like a venomous snake. I had time. Time to unravel their threads before they wove the noose. I dressed in my favorite Armani sheath, the one that made me feel like a panther in pinstripes, and strode into the open-plan kitchen where sunlight poured over quartz counters like liquid gold. The doorman buzzed up, "Elena, early for once."
Mom.
Traffic was a nightmare on the FDR, she breezed in, air kissing my cheeks, her perfume a cloying cloud of Chanel No. 5. She was stunning, my mirror image at that age, raven hair in a sleek bob, green eyes sharp as emeralds, legs that turned heads in her pencil skirts. But I saw the cracks now, the subtle flick of her gaze to my Warhol print on the wall, appraising its value like an auctioneer. "Coffee," I offered, voice steady as I poured from the Nespresso. But my mind raced. In the life before, this was where it started. Her ideas for liquidating assets during the crash, planting seeds of doubt about my outdated management. Today, I'd uproot them. We sat at the breakfast bar, city sprawl glittering below like a promise or a threat. So, the board meeting she launched in, flipping open her leather folio. I've crunched the numbers on that Chelsea development. We could flip it pre-construction if we leverage. No, I cut her off. Sharper than intended. Her fork paused midair, loaded with artisanal yogurt. We're holding. The market's a house of cards. Elena. One gust. And it all tumbles. She blinked. That practiced blink of feigned surprise. But Mom, liquidity is key right now. Derek, mister. Boss from the gala, he says the smart money's in shorting subprime. We could make a killing. There it was.
Derek.
The serpent in the garden, whispering poison into her ear over champagne flutes. In my old life, I'd laughed it off, charmed by his Ivy League polish and tales of yacht parties in the Mediterranean.
Now,
I knew he was a fraudster in waiting, cooking books for billionaires while betting interns. And Elena? She'd chosen him over me every time. Her loyalty as fickle as a meme stock. Tell me about him, I said casually, sipping my latte, but my pulse thrummed like a war drum. This boss. What's his angle? She lit up, cheeks flushing. He's brilliant.
Mom.
Harvard. Top of his class. Running a fund that's up 20% YDD. We're grabbing drinks after work tonight. Maybe you could join? I smiled. The kind that didn't reach my eyes. Maybe. But first, let's talk family. You know the Penthouse deed? I had the lawyers review it yesterday. Ironclad. No power of attorney without my explicit, notarized consent. Her spoon clattered. Why would you, Mom? That's paranoid. I'm your daughter. And blood is thicker than water, I replied, echoing the lies she'd fed me in the shelter. But ink is forever. The rest of breakfast blurred into polite small talk, her latest spin class. My upcoming TEDx on women in real estate, but the air crackled with unspoken barbs. As she left for the office, Louboutins clicking like countdown clocks, I pulled out my Rolodex, fingers flying to old contacts, a PI for my scrappy days, a SEC whisperer who'd owed me a favor since the 90s crash. Victor, I murmured into the phone, voice low. I need dirt on Derek Voss. Everything. And dig into Elena's emails discreetly. By noon, I was in my corner office at Harrington Tower, 57th floor. Hudson River a steely vein below. The staff buzzed, analysts in hoodies poring over Bloomberg terminals, assistants fetching matcha lattes, but I felt like a ghost haunting my own empire. Rebirth sharpened everything, the hum of the HVAC like distant thunder. The scent of fresh printer ink, laced with desperation. I locked my door, booted up my ancient Dell, God, how tech had leaped by 2025, and scoured public records. Voss Enterprises, Incorporated 05. Suspiciously lean filings. Whispers on anonymous forums about creative accounting. And Elena? Her Wharton thesis on ethical disruptions in finance. Ironic, given how she'd disrupt my life. My cell buzzed. Victor.
Mia.
You witch. Already? Voss is clean on paper. But I've got a tail on him. Met your girl last night at Le Cirque, cozy. And get this, he's got ties to a shell corp in the Caymans. Offshore. Baby. Good. I breathed, adrenaline spiking like bad espresso. Keep digging. I want photos, voicemails, the works. That night, I crashed their date. Not as the doting mom, but the predator. I happened upon Le Cirque, resplendent in my little black dress and heirloom pearls, spotting them in a banquette amid crystal chandeliers and linen-draped tables. Elena's laugh tinkled like wind chimes. Derek leaned in, hand grazing her knee under the tablecloth. "Mom," she exclaimed, half rising. "What a surprise, Derek Voss." I extended my hand, grip firm as rebar. Mia's heard so much. His shake was clammy, eyes flicking like a cornered rat's. "Pleasure. MS. Harrington. Elena speaks the world of you." "Likewise." I slid into the booth uninvited, signaling the sommelier for a bottle of 82 Bordeaux on my tab. Of course. Conversation flowed. Markets, mergers, his visionary fund. But I probed. Surgical. Subprime's frothy. Isn't it? One bubble burst. And poof, fortunes evaporate. He chuckled. Too hearty. That's the game.
Mia.
High risk. High reward. Elena hears my good luck charm. She beamed. But I saw the flicker, ambition masking something hollow. By dessert. I dropped the bomb casually. Funny. My PI mentioned a Cayman entity. Tax haven chic. Derek's fork froze. Elena's smile cracked. "Mom, that's due diligence," I finished, voice honeyed venom. "Family first. Remember? The check came, I paid, leaving a tip that screamed, 'I own this town.' As we parted on the sidewalk, paparazzi flashes popping like gunfire, I whispered to Elena, 'Choose wisely, darling. Some debts aren't worth the interest.'" Back in the penthouse, alone with the city's nocturnal growl, I poured a scotch neat, no ice, and paced the Persian rugs. Rebirth wasn't mercy, it was mandate. I'd given her everything, she'd stripped me bare. But secrets festered beneath. In my old life, I'd uncovered fragments too late. Derek's affairs. Elena's forged signatures on my accounts. A hidden abortion at 22 she'd blamed on stress, never telling me. And the big one, my own buried sin. At 28, desperate for seed money, I'd fudged a zoning permit on a Bronx project, nothing lethal, but enough to jail me if exposed. Elena knew. She'd weaponized it in whispers to the board, painting me as the villain to crown herself queen. No more. Tomorrow, I'd hire the hackers, ethical ones, gray hat prodigies from Silicon Alley. I'd leak Voss's skeletons to the Journal, watch his fund implode like Lehman. Elena? I'd freeze her out. No promotion. No trust access. Controversial? Hell yes. Disowning your blood for self-preservation? The tabloids would feast. But survival's a bitch. And I danced with worse. As dawn bled pink over Central Park, I stared at the skyline, fists clenched. This time, the queen wouldn't fall. She'd burn the board first. Weeks blurred into a calculated siege, each day a chess move in a game where I held the board and the hidden blade. By October 2008, the crash hit like a freight train, Lehman gutted, AIG on life support. My Harrington Properties stock plummeting 40% overnight. Panic rippled through the office, traders screaming into phones, interns Googling bailout on clunky Blackberries, but I thrived in the chaos. reborn clarity cutting through the fog like a laser. Buy low. Sell never. I barked in the war room, greenlighting distressed assets, foreclosed lofts in Soho, bankrupt hotels in Midtown. We scooped them for pennies, my war chest swelling while competitors bled out. Elena, though, God, the unraveling was exquisite agony. I'd sidelined her, reassigned to research in a cubicle farm. No more corner office dreams. Her emails piled up, laced with passive-aggressive barbs. Mom, undervaluing my contributions? Feels personal. I replied in monosyllables, forcing her to stew. Derek? My PI's dossier arrived via encrypted drop. Photos of him schmoozing Russian oligarchs at scores. Grainy shots of duffel bags exchanged in Jersey alleys, laundering. Most likely. Voicemails too. Babe. The Harrington plays gold. Her old lady's loaded. We marry in. Flip the assets. Cayman bound. My blood boiled. But I filed it away, timing the leak for maximum scorch. One rainy Thursday, she cornered me in the executive washroom, mirrors fogged from my post-yoga steam. What the hell? Mom, you've frozen me out. Derek says you're sabotaging us. Jealous of my future? I dabbed concealer under my eyes, flawless, at 55, thanks to this second shot, and met her gaze. Unflinching. Sabotaging? Darling, I'm saving you. Voss is a house of cards. Walk away. Her laugh was brittle, echoing off the marble. Saving me? You're the one clinging to relics. Dad would've. Don't, I snapped. The name a gut punch. Her father, my college sweetheart, dead in a car wreck when she was 5, DUI. My fault for nagging him to drive home buzzed from our anniversary toast. Guilt I'd carried like a millstone, she'd wielded it like a club. Your father's not here. I am. And I say Voss's poison. She stormed out, Louboutins splashing puddles in the hall. By evening, Victor called. Tale confirms it. Voss met a fixer last night, bribing inspectors on a Harrington rival project. Your girl's in deep. Texts about nudging Mom's signature.
Nudge.
The word slithered, evoking my eviction papers, forged in her elegant script. I hung up, poured a nightcap, Glenfiddich, smoky as regret, and scrolled her pilfered inbox on my secure laptop. They're emails to a divorce attorney, dated last week. Prenup voids if infidelity proven, it read. Derek's side piece? A 25-year-old model from his fun's holiday party. Elena knew she'd buried it, trading silence for his promises. My daughter, my shadow, bartering dignity for diamonds. The controversial pivot came at our firm's Halloween gala, black-tie bacchanal at the plaza. I arrived as Morticia Adams, gown slinking like midnight, veil obscuring my predator's eyes, Elena as a sexy librarian, Derek in a half-assed Zorro getup, cape askew from pre-party lines. The ballroom swirled, caviar towers, jazz trio crooning Cole Porter, moguls mingling like sharks and chum. I watched them from the balcony, flute of Veuve in hand, as Derek cornered a senator, bribes for deregulation. No doubt. Timing impeccable. I descended, veil fluttering. Darling, I purred to Elena, linking arms. Dance with your old mom? She hesitated, but the crowd's eyes, New York's elite, scenting drama, pushed her onto the floor. Waltz under crystal chandeliers, her body stiff against mine. This is it. Elena. Last chance. Dump him. Or I expose everything. Her breath hitched. Expose? You're bluffing. Am I? I spun her out.
Then in.
Whispering. Cayman wires. Model in his penthouse. I've got the tapes. And your emails to that lawyer? Desperate measures for a desperate man. She paled. Lipstick stark against ashen skin. You spied?
My God.
Mom. Family protects family, I hissed, dipping her low, our faces inches apart. He'll drag you down. I've seen it. The orchestra swelled. She wrenched free. Skirt swirling. Derek swooped in, oblivious. Trouble in paradise? But paradise cracked that night. As fireworks burst over the park, ironic pyrotechnics for a crumbling empire, I slipped my leak to a journal stringer in the coat room. Anonymous tip. Voss's Cayman docks attached. By dawn. Headline screamed. Hedge fund heist. Voss tied to offshore fraud. The fallout was biblical. Derek's fund hemorrhaged 60% by open bell. Clients fleeing like rats from a blaze. He holed up in his Tribeca loft. Phones ringing off hooks with SEC hounds. Elena called me at 6 a.m. Voice shattered. Mom. It's everywhere. He swears it's a setup, says you're behind it. I sipped my room service espresso. Skyline shrouded in fog. A setup? Karma's a bitch.
Honey.
Come home. We'll fix this together. Silence. Then a sob. I can't.
He needs me. But.
The penthouse. He mentioned leveraging it. For bailouts. My grip tightened. Mug cracking. There it was, the seed. Sprouting early. In my old life. This plea came at 75. Laced with honey now. At 30. It reeked of desperation. No, I said flatly. The deed's mine. Touch it. And you're out. Mom. Out. Elena. Blood or not.
Click.
The day devolved into siege, boardroom battles, where I rallied the old guard against youthful indiscretions. By noon, Voss was arrested, cuffs glinting on CNBC. His mugshot a far cry from Gala Gloss. Elena vanished into radio silence, but Victor tailed her, pacing Riverside Drive. Chain-smoking merits. Eyes red-rimmed. That evening, alone in the penthouse, thunder rumbling like divine applause, I unearthed my own skeleton. The Bronx zoning fraud, 78. A falsified stamp to greenlight a low-income high-rise that later collapsed in a storm, killing 2 maintenance workers. No charges then, bribes buried it. But Elena had found the file in my attic, digitized it for leverage.
Now.
I burned the originals in the fireplace, ashes swirling up the flue like exorcised ghosts. Controversial? Destroying evidence? In boardrooms, it's called asset protection. On the street, it's obstruction. But rebirth demanded ruthlessness. Mercy had gotten me a box under the bridge. A knock shattered the quiet. Elena's key. Turning slow. She stumbled in.
Soaked.
Mascara tracks like war paint. He's gone. Feds took everything.
Mom. I
didn't know. Liar. My future self snarled. But the mother in me, the one who'd rocked her through colic, cracked. Sit. I commanded. Fetching towels. Herbal tea. We huddled on the sectional. City lights fracturing through rain-streaked glass. It started small, she confessed. Voice small. His charm. The promises. Then the debts, poker games, bad bets. He said your empire could save us. Us, I echoed.
Bitter.
Not you and me. You and him. She flinched. I was scared. Of failing you. You're Mia Harrington, icon. I'm just. Elena. I cupped her chin, forcing eye contact. You're enough. But choices? They define us. We talked till midnight. Her Yale insecurities. The abortion she'd hidden rape. By a frat boy. Hushed for the family image. My fault. She'd thought, my empire too shiny for stains. Secrets spilled like confessions in a confessional. Absolution tentative. By 2 a.m., she curled on the guest bed, sleeping like the child I'd lost. But trust? Fractured. As I dimmed the hall light, phone buzzed, anonymous text. Knew about Voss. Kept quiet for cut. E attached, a scan of my Bronx file. Time-stamped yesterday. Betrayals echo. She hadn't ended it. She'd hedged. Playing both sides. My hand hovered over the delete button. Heart a war zone. Forgive or finish. Dawn broke gray. I chose the blade. November's chills seeped into the bones of Manhattan. Frost etching the penthouse windows like accusations frozen in time. Elena stayed, tentative truce. Her things migrating from her Murray Hill walk-up to the guest suite. A velvet exile. Mornings. We'd share green juices and Wall Street Journal crosswords. Her laughter forced but thawing. Evenings. Pilates duets where sweat masked tears.
See?
Core strength for core values, I'd quip. Plank trembling as much from emotion as exertion. She nodded, eyes downcast. But I caught the glances at her phone. Voss's bail hearing updates. No doubt. The feds had him in a white-collar suite at MCC. But his tentacles lingered, shell companies still siphoning. Whispers of witness tampering. I played the long game, fortifying the empire while mining her fissures. Harrington properties boomed in the bust, snapping up foreclosures like candy at a fire sale. My TEDx clip going viral on YouTube. Phoenix from the crash, women rebuilding America. Forbes dubbed me the Iron Widow, a nod to my solo reign and veiled barbs at Elena's scandal. She interned remotely, drafting reports on sustainable retrofits. Her MBA mined an asset I couldn't squander. But trust? A minefield. I'd installed subtle monitors, keyloggers on her laptop. A nanny cam in the foyer, paranoia justified by that damning text. E could be her, it could be a plant. Either way, it fueled the fire. The controversial escalation hit during Thanksgiving. That most American of hypocrisies, gratitude amid gluttony. I'd hosted the inner circle, my CFO Lou, a grizzled Queens vet with a soft spot for strays, Victor and his wife, toasting with Manhattans, Elena, in cashmere sweater and pearls, playing the prodigal. Turkey carved tableside, sides of truffled mac and cranberry relish, the dining room aglow with votives and heirloom silver. Laughter flowed easier than the '09 Cabernet. Stories of crash survivors, Lou's brother flipping burgers at 50. My own tenement ghosts. But midway through pie, Elena's phone chirped. She silenced it, but not before I glimpsed the sender. DV. Meet at Pier 17. Midnight. Last chance. My fork scraped china. Everything all right? She flushed. Just. Spam. Lies sour the sweetest moments. Post-dinner. As guests nursed ports by the fire, I feigned a migraine, retreating to my study. Victor, ever the shadow, slipped out for a smoke, actually tailing her cab to the waterfront. By 1 a.m., his text, she's with him.
Docs.
Arguing cash, mom's safe mentioned. Photos incoming. The images burned, Elena and Derek under sodium lamps. His jumpsuit swapped for street clothes, her handing over an envelope thick. From my safe, rage-blinded, I slammed my fist into the oak desk, splintering a drawer. Controversial didn't cover it. Confronting her now risked everything, the fragile rebuild, the Empire's optics. But in action, that was the bridge box calling. I waited till dawn, her key turning sheepish. She reeked of brine and betrayal. Coat damp. Coffee, I offered. Voice silk over steel. She nodded, collapsing at the island. Sleepless night. Dreams. Or reality? I slid the photos across quartz, grainy proofs of midnight treason. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. You followed me? Jesus. Mom. Protected you, I snarled, rising. That's what mothers do. Not this. I flung the envelope facsimile. Victor had intercepted a decoy. But the message landed. Voss's last chance. My money. Elena? After everything? Tears welled. But defiance sparked. He loves me, said he'd fight the charges. Clear his name. Needs a lawyer, your connections. My connections, I echoed, laughing cold. For a felon who planned to fleece me?
Us.
She stood, trembling. You don't get it. You're unbreakable, Mia Harrington. Queen of concrete. I needed him to feel equal to you. The admission hung. A guillotine blade.
Equal.
My life's labor. Reduced to a rival. But beneath, the buried secret. Hers and mine entwining. The file, I pressed. Voice low. Bronx 78. You sent that text. Didn't you? E for Elena. Hedging your bets. She froze. Then crumpled. I found it years ago. Attic box. Labeled ghosts. Thought it made us even, your sins for his. But I deleted the forward. Swear. Liar or not, my gut twisted. In the old life. She'd leaked it fully. Boardroom coup sealed. Here, a half measure. Perhaps redemption's flicker. But the envelope real cash, traced to my Cayman Reserve ironic echo, proved otherwise. Out, I whispered. The word a death knell. Pack. By noon. Mom. Out. Thunderclap. She fled, sobs echoing down the hall. The eviction was surgical. Lawyers drafted the disownment by 2 p.m. Trust frozen. Names scrubbed from the letterhead. Tabloids erupted. Harrington air heaved. Scandal daughter dumped. Paparazzi swarming the lobby like locusts. I issued a statement. Family is earned, not entitled. Harrington Properties indoors. Stock ticked up 5%. Schadenfreude's bitter fruit. But nights carved hollow. I'd wander the penthouse. Ghosts whispering. Her baby laugh in the nursery. Prom photos on the fridge. Rebirth's gift soured. Knowledge without absolution. Victor uncovered more. Elena crashing on friends' couches. Derek pressuring from jail for one more play. The twist loomed. A shadow in the data. Her abortion file. Cross-referenced the frat boy. Derek's old Yale roommate. Covered up by the same network. She'd chosen Voss not from love, but chains, blackmail binding her to his web. Controversy peaked when I greenlit the ultimate gray, Anonymous donation to Derek's prosecutor. $500,000 earmarked for enhanced investigation. Legal? Barely. Campaign finance loopholes. Moral? A vigilante's justice. By Christmas. Indictments expanded. Racketeering. Elena named co-conspirator on a minor count, wiring funds. Her envelope the linchpin. She called from a payphone. Voice hollow. Merry Christmas.
Mom.
Feds want a deal. Testify against him. I paused. Ornaments twinkling on the tree, solo. Lights mocking. Your choice, Elena. But remember, queens don't kneel.
Click.
The line went dead, like my old heart under the bridge. As snow blanketed the city, I plotted the climax, not destruction, but dissection. Invite her back, one last gambit. The boardroom, New Year's Eve, under the guise of reconciliation, but rigged. Hidden mics, lawyers on speed dial, Victor in the vents like a noir gumshoe. She'd come, desperate, confess, ensnared. Revenge?
Catharsis.
Or so I told the mirror, lines creeping back despite the rewind. The clock ticked toward midnight. Empire humming.
But my soul?
A penthouse echo. Vast and vacant. New Year's Eve 2008 dawned brittle. The city hung over from holiday excess. Confetti-strewn streets slick with melt. I'd transformed the boardroom into a battlefield disguised as détente. Crystal flutes etched with a Harrington crest. A spread of caviar and canapes from Daniel. Panoramic views of Times Square's pre-ball drop frenzy. Invites sent terse. Elena, one chance.
Noon.
Come alone. She'd replied via courier, a handwritten note. Script shaky. Mom. I'm done running.
See you.
Noon sharp. The glass doors hissed open. She entered not in power armor, but defeat, jeans frayed at the hems. Parka zipped to chin. Hair link without its blowout. No makeup, the green eyes.
My eyes.
Raw and red-veined. You came, I said, rising from the head seat. Voice neutral as Switzerland. Had nowhere else. She shrugged off the coat, revealing a thrift store sweater, charity chic. Irony thick. We sat catty-corner. The long oak table a no-man's land. Small talk stuttered. Weather, balmy for winter. The ball drop, crowds wild. Then, the pivot. The charges, I prompted.
Pouring Perrier. Deal.
She nodded, fingers twisting a napkin to shreds. Immunity if I flip. Derek's the kingpin, laundering for cartels. Even. The roommate thing. He knew. Used it to hook me. Blackmail layered like onion skin. The abortion. My fists clenched under the table, nails biting palms. Drawing crescents. Why not tell me? I could've. Crushed it. She laughed.
Hollow.
You're Mia Harrington. Scandals die in your shadow. But I didn't want pity. Wanted power. Like you.
Power.
The word a mirror. Reflecting my own climb. Zoning lies. Buried bodies and blueprints. And the envelope? The file? Tears spilled. Desperation. He threatened exposure, yours and mine. Thought if I paid, it'd end. But the text. Not me. His hacker. Testing waters. I deleted everything.
Mom.
Swear on Dad. Dad. The wreck. My guilt's eternal passenger. I searched her face, fractured but familiar, and saw not the serpent, but the scared girl I'd failed. Rebirth's cruelest twist, betrayal bidirectional. I'd armored her too thick, taught ambition without anchors. Testify, I said finally. End it. She reached across, hand hovering. And us? The disownment. Paper. I lied. Pulse racing. The mic's words silent. Victor's nod from the antechamber confirmed. Clean feed. Her words gold for the feds. But as her fingers brushed mine, warmth seeping, something fractured. Controversial calculus. Burn the bridge. Or rebuild on ruins. The climax crested unexpected. Her phone buzzed, prosecutor's office. She answered, voice steady. Yes, I'll do it. Full disclosure.
Pause.
The Harrington file? Irrelevant. Destroyed years ago. My mother's clean.
Clean.
A lie wrapped in loyalty. Her gift. But the real twist detonated then. Victor burst in. Face ashen. Mia, leak just hit. Your Bronx docs.
Public.
Someone dumped M on WikiLeaks. Feds inbound. Time suspended. Elena's eyes widened. I didn't.
Derek.
From his cell, a final venom strike, his fixer, activating the digital bomb. Chaos erupted, sirens wailing distant, my cell exploding with bored panic. I stood, empire teetering anew, but clarity struck like lightning. Run the tape, I ordered Victor. Elena's confession, pure, untainted, could barter my sins away. A daughter's redemption for a mother's throne. But controversy crowned the coup. I chose her. In the frenzy, lawyers swarming, flashbulbs popping from heli-lifted press, I pulled Elena close. Microphones live. My daughter speaks truth. Harrington properties? Untouched. The past? Buried where it belongs. Bluff or breakthrough. The feds arrived at dusk. Badges gleaming under fluorescence. Interrogation sweet. Coffee bitter as regret. I laid it bare, the zoning fraud. The collapsed deaths. My cover-up. Guilty, I admitted. Voice steady. Elena testified parallel. Voss's empire crumbled. Her immunity sealed. His 25, to life a foregone. Twists bitter bloom, my plea? House arrest in the penthouse, ironic cage. But clemency for philanthropic amends. Elena? Cleared. But scarred, taking the CEO mantle provisionally. Under my watchful holograms, tech leaped by trial's end. No full happy ending. The tabloids feasted on fallen queen rises with air, but whispers lingered. Was her loyalty genuine? Or survival slight? Months blurred, 2025's horizon. Me at 72, time's relentless march. Even rewound. Elena 47. Married to a quiet architect. Their twins scampering the halls. The penthouse? Ours. Deeded joint. No shadows. But nights. Alone on the terrace. Manhattan's pulse a lullaby. I trace the bridge's distant silhouette. Death's echo fades. But lesson scar. Revenge heals nothing. Forgiveness? A gamble. Like subprime bets. Yet here, under stars smog-veiled, with Elena's laugh drifting from the nursery, I whisper to the wind. We won, darling. Homeless no more. The queen endures, not unbroken,
But reforged.
and in America's grind, that's victory enough.